Welcome to Losi Fanta Audio Adventures. This series is about true stories that really happened. Stories in which men twist themselves into knots, women mercilessly play out their quirks, and no one can seriously claim to have acted out of pure reason. Told with biting wit, humor, and delightful sarcasm. Enjoy listening to the things people do out of love, lust, or desire, and bitterly regret. Experiences caught between heart and body.
A truly memorable date, or how to enjoy an evening with Asti and complete madness. Ah, yes, the wonderful world of online dating. Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, and their many friends make it delightfully easy to meet new people. It's basically the modern wilderness, minus the bears, but with an impressive number of filters instead. Bravely, I ventured into this digital jungle, scrolling, swiping, and tapping until I finally stumbled upon a promising specimen of female elegance. The chats were good, the phone calls even better, and at some point I thought, this is it, my unicorn in the swipe forest. Naturally, we had to meet. Spontaneous was the magic word, and as if by fate, a date was suddenly set. She wanted to come over to my place, a real stroke of luck since it saves you all the logistics. I prepared accordingly. Apartment cleaned, drinks chilled, the gentleman in me already polishing his invisible monocle. Netflix and chill? Please. I'm a man of culture. Then the moment arrived. I went outside to meet her. From a distance? Wow. Short dress, high heels, a body straight out of a glossy magazine. Hallelujah! Jackpot! But the closer she got, the more the picture started to blur. Filters, I thought. Or time travel? Those photos where she looked so enchanting must have been taken back when Nokia still ruled the mobile phone world. On top of that, she appeared to be absolutely hammered. But hey, who cares? The body was still sensational, and silicone is basically a lifestyle choice these days. Inside, the evening started in classic fashion. I offered drinks. Water? No. Juice? Not her thing. She wanted alcohol. Fair enough, party vibes aren't necessarily a bad sign, so I opened a bottle of Asti. I'd barely taken a sip when her glass was already empty, and immediately refilled. Respect. The woman clearly doesn't suffer from dehydration. Then came some small talk. She casually mentioned that every Saturday she downs about 10 to 15 Aperol spritz. But don't worry, she's not an alcoholic. She had recently made that very clear during a discussion. Well then, cheers. I nodded politely while my brain screamed, "Run!" But my attention was elsewhere. Let's just say certain anatomical highlights demanded priority. At some point, we ended up on the couch. She kissed me, and I briefly opened my eyes, a mistake as it turned out. Her neck, aggressively tanning bed bronzed and shiny like polished leather, was hard to ignore. In my head, I nicknamed her Mrs. Leatherskin. But my body was no longer open to negotiation. Blood supply to the brain? Completely offline. So, onward with the program. I explored her body and got hands-on. As a proper host, I decided to please her orally. And wow, she loved it. "Oh, I love licking!" she shouted enthusiastically, so loudly that the neighbors probably considered joining in. Encouraged by her enthusiasm, I gave it all until she finally climaxed. A win? Not really, because the moment it was over, she jumped up, marched into the kitchen, and opened the next bottle of Asti. With the battle cry, "It's Asti time!" she emptied half the bottle in record speed. And then, hand on heart, I was not prepared for this. came the sentence of the night. "Now give me the fist." "The what?" I asked, but she was dead serious. Well, I'm open-minded, I thought, so I made my debut as an amateur boxer, full commitment, no training. And her reaction? Ecstatic. So ecstatic that she grabbed the Asti bottle again and once more yelled, "It's Asti time!"
At this point, reality started to dissolve. After the fist, she decided she wanted to feel my masculine energy. Finally, something resembling normality. Condom on, let's go. But wait! After 1 minute, let's change locations. So off to the kitchen. Same thing. 1 minute later, let's go to the couch. Then the dining table, the bedroom, the balcony. We basically did a full apartment sightseeing tour, but never reached a proper ending anywhere. In between, more Asti. By the time the third and final bottle was empty, she was so drunk she could barely stand. I carried her to bed and desperately hoped the night was finally over. But no. In bed, she wanted me again. All right, I thought. I'll push through now. 3 minutes later, I was stopped again. "We're sleeping now," she announced. Fantastic. I used so many condoms that night and still didn't get a finish. A logistical masterpiece of frustration. MacGyver would have collected them all, rinsed them out, vacuum sealed them, and resold them in the original packaging. He probably would have built a hot air balloon out of one and experienced more action, multiple climaxes, and a glorious ascent, while I was forced into repeated emergency landings. The next morning, surprise, surprise, she was hungover. She wanted painkillers. I didn't have any. So I politely but swiftly saw her off and breathed a deep sigh of relief once she was finally in her car. The rest of my morning? Simple. A man helps himself. No location changes, no Asti, and finally a happy ending. The moral of the story? Sometimes it's better when the filters stay on the phone and the Asti stays at the supermarket.
Thanks for listening. Honestly, respect for sticking it out all the way to the end. I hope you had fun, or at least felt a tiny bit called out. Maybe you even thought, "Thank goodness that wasn't me." Don't worry, the next story is definitely coming. And next time, too, it'll be about the things people do out of love, lust, or desire, and later regret. Until next time on Losi Fanta Audio Adventures.